It's finally time to change the timing chains on the Japanese Discovery 4. Now, there was a lot of footage recorded in this series as I decided to restore or replace everything I removed in the process. So, grab yourself a coffee and sit back for this first episode where I clean the engine bay, start tearing the engine down, including removal and cleaning of the injectors. It's a bit later in the evening, but I'm making the most of the sun. I want to get doing the timing chains on this, but I want to give the engine bay a good going over because I don't want any crap falling in into the timing casing whilst it's off. It's going to be a bit of a drip feed of a job this, when I've got bits of time, when I've got bits of good weather. So yeah, hopefully the moisture in the air this time of year should be fine to leave open for a few days, but we'll see. I know I'm going to run into some problems halfway through. I've got to get the injectors out. I know they can be a pain in the ass, so I'm going to soak those, and I'll probably find something else that's broken along the way, or something that I've just not ordered and I'll have to wait for parts to come through. So anyway, I'm going to thoroughly clean the engine bay, jet wash it, snow foam, brush, rinse it off, and then I can leave it overnight, and if the weather's good tomorrow I can get working on it. So let's get cleaning. Gonna go with some big lashings of Surfx HD today. Literally, this got so heavy because that's full of water that the struts couldn't hold its weight anymore. It started to fall down, so just put it in access height. This might be the last start before it gets the chains done, but it probably will be. So it's the next day, weather's not great again, it's very windy, but it doesn't look like it's going to rain, so I don't want to wait any longer. I'm going to start pulling this apart, draining things down. I forgot as well that I've also got a gasket for the oil cooler, and I've got the plastic pipe at the back which is prone to breaking, and I didn't realise when I bought a new one at the time that you can actually get an aluminium one from AliExpress. So I've got one of those on its way, so that's going to slow things down a bit. So this might take a few days, a week, over time, but we'll get it done and we'll just take it at pace. So I'm going to start pulling all the plastics and battery and airboxes and all that sort of stuff, just so I can see where I'm at with it all. So let's crack on. Yep. Got it. Really looking forward to putting that back in. Those clouds do not look good. What I want to do is soak these injectors as early as possible, so I've got the most chance of pulling them out with the slide hammer without breaking any of them. Because I use a pink pen, I might now get one of those powered by pixie dust stickers on the back. Let me know what you think. Thank you. I just love the smell of petrol. There's a lovely little T40 holding these fuel lines on. Coffee break, just a cold one because I haven't got the time. This is one of those bamboo dinosaur cups that I got from the Natural History Museum in London, which is where me and Siobhan got engaged, because I know you were down to know. That's nice and crusty. That first one was mega tight. I'm gonna save someone's life here. If you've never seen one of these before, this is where they come in real handy. This is a Proxxon branded ratchet. that when you twist the handle, guess what? In either direction, it turns the ratchet head. Amazing. And also, it's got a little socket on the bottom so you can actually whiz it through there. It's amazing for getting in real tight spaces. My mum actually got me this for Christmas. What a legend. And then I thought it was ace. So I got my brother one and he was like, oh my God, I've never seen this before, it's amazing. So there you go. Just for getting in tight spaces like this, and you can whiz it left and right. This contraption. Even the fuel rail won't come out, it's proper stuck and I don't want to damage anything, so I've blown it out. I'm going to spray this liquid moly injector and glow plug dismantling aid. No advert. Well, you'll see if it works or not. And I'm going to do it all in that area. And then I'll move over to the other side whilst it's doing its job and see if I can then get the rail off. Yeah, I thought that side was fun. This side is awful. It's like they designed it with no intention of anybody doing any work on it whilst the engine is in the car. It's so tucked back. So I'm going to take this off. No real nice way of doing this, so I've just got some cloth on the camshaft cover because there's just nothing to lever off other than this, which is plastic. But it has just broken. The penetrating fluid did a job. There's no way this was working before, but it's just gone. Start to leak a bit of fuel. Quite a lot of fuel. It says, be prepared to collect fuel. How the hell would you do that? I have no idea. What just disappeared? Look at that tan line. Because I just cracked the screen protector. Fuck my life. Second time I've done that recently. So there you go, that's the pressure sensor clip off. There's the fuel rail. Let's do this one live. There we go. Again, just for reference, it's probably worth noting that not only are the clips the opposite way around, the whole injectors are. So the injector plugs are at the bottom here. And there's a cut out here for the plugs. And on this side, you can see the cut out there. They're not in it, they're in the top portion. So it's where the plug is, the flat clip will go. So a couple of days have passed now. I had to bail because the weather was just so bad. So these have had a good couple of days of soaking. I'm gonna blow any liquid left out in this one. This one looks probably to be the easiest, or maybe that one over there. Blow any liquid out and then try and pull it out with the slide hammer tool. That way nothing drops into the combustion chamber. Yeah, nasty solvents past the rings and into the oil. So let's try and pull them out. Here's a tool. Those who know, those who don't. Basically a little slide hammer with a little locking collet that pinches around the injector, locks in place like that. And then it also comes with a tool for pushing the Teflon seals back on, the new seals, and then a tool for reshaping them as it stretches it a little bit when you do it. So let's give this a go. Not a lot of weight getting the slide hammer. Here we go. Easy peasy. And very, very caked in crap. So these are going to need a good clean. So you can see there, that's where the seal is. Past there, that's sat inside the combustion chamber, so it's full of carbon deposits. But we haven't broken it, so I'm going to blow the rest off, get all the fluid out, and then I'll try and pull them all out. There she goes. This is weird. Not a 5mm, too small. Not a 6mm, too big. 7 30 seconds, 32. I don't know how you Americans say it. Ooh, glad I didn't start on that one, it's giving me no confidence. No damage. So I can get 8 new seal kits now without having to buy any new injectors. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to clean these in the ultrasonic cleaner, and then I'm going to run through some carb cleaner through them to clean them out and check the spray pattern. Make sure we've got no leaky injectors by charging them without opening the valve. So, ultrasonic cleaner. This is the Polo, what is it? PS 150? PS 150. So it's a 15 litre. I've had it for quite a while now. I've not used it yet. My advice is just get the biggest that you can afford, really. Otherwise you'll be flipping parts around, or you just can't fit it at all, so there'd be no point. I wish I had just a huge one, really. I could dunk engine covers and stuff in, so maybe I'll get a big one in the future, but this will do for now. This, obviously heated, goes up to about 80 degrees C, I think. This is the Pro Series one, so it's dual frequency. It's got 28 kilohertz for delicate stuff and 40 for everything else, so I don't think the injectors are super delicate, so I'm going to go straight in at 40. Was going to do it in a glass jar, but to be honest, I just want the most effective cleaning that I can have on them. So I'm going to line them up inside, and I'm going to use a Surfex HD again, built amber. I'm going to use it at its highest concentration, so 10%. So what's that? 15 litres, 1.5 litres. And then I can reuse that water because these aren't super dirty. I should be able to use it for other pieces. So let's mix up some solution, get it up to temperature, and then pop the parts in. got a piece of bamboo that I've sharpened, stuck it down there, and then I'm just going to cut this seal. Oh, it's broken the bamboo. Sharpened it a bit too much. You get the idea? Don't want to damage these, so that works fine. Just for reference, how caked up they are before you go in. This one, for example, I don't number it, 3, is significantly worse than the rest. So I'm gonna have to watch out on this one. I'd say also number 7, not quite as bad, but yeah, the rest are much better. To be fair, if you just push it underneath, you don't even need to use a knife. It's so brittle, they just snap. But you might need a knife just to get it started, just to run it carefully down there, because of the petrol varnish, it's quite caked on, and then you can just nick it up and then pull that in. Right, we're nearly up to temperature now at 78 degrees centigrade, Celsius, by the way. I did forget to take off the little plastic collets, so I've done that. The new kits come with them in. I don't have the new kits yet, I only ordered them yesterday. So I didn't have anything to refer to, but I just thought they look like they should come off. Checked, and they should. So they come off. They're quite brittle, to be fair. I managed to salvage maybe 4 in case something went wrong. And so I'm not really sure you're supposed to get them back on without them breaking, but I'll do some more Googling. This is ready to go in now, 78. It seems to turn off around about 78 on the thermostat, so I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm just going to dunk them in and then probably put it on for half an hour, come back in half an hour and see how they're looking. It certainly stinks of something. I think it's a mixture of petrol and billet amber. It's definitely done something. Wow. Safe to say it's got rid of all that carbon buildup on the noses. The stainless looks super bright. I'm impressed. Right, so they've been rinsed off. Next step is to clean them whilst they're being used. I've got this little kit from AliExpress that should actuate them and open them up quickly and try and simulate actual use. And I've got a can of STP carb spray cleaner, and inside the kit comes some little adapters like this. It does come with some seals, but I've just put on one of the original rubber seals back on the top and then lubed it up with a bit of new engine oil. And so the first thing I'll do is just make sure that the injector's not leaking whilst it's in its normally closed position. I did just have to grind the fin off a little bit here with the Dremel because it just didn't go all the way in, and to be honest with you, it just wants to shoot it off with the pressure. So I'll try and show you as best I can. You just push that on the can and nothing should come out, but like I said, it's trying to force it off. So I've got to hold it on at the same time pretty tight, and also you can't push down too hard on these cans because it just forces it down in the orange tube. You just got to put a little bit of pressure. So I'll show you what I mean, hopefully. If I push down on that, that's pressurized and there's no leak outside at the end of the injector, and if I let go, there you go, just to prove there was pressure. So I'll do that on all of them as I go through. So that's test number 1. Next is then to just clean them all. So I need to hook this up to, I did read, you have to be careful with this. I read the comments on these. They made it out of some plastics that don't survive carb spray cleaner, the one thing you're probably going to be using for this. So don't get any on the tester kit, and get it from AliExpress, so it costs you peanuts and you're not going to cry if you do dissolve some of the numbers and letters on the front. So let's hook this up to 12-watt battery that came off the car and then get them cleaned out. That's in there. I don't believe the polarity specifics, but I'm sure somebody will say don't do that, you'll break something inside. So battery, so apparently it'll tell you if you've got the polarity the wrong way around, or it's got some sort of protection on it. The power light will flash, it's not flashing. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 settings on it, and you just cycle through them as much as you want really. I've got 3 cans of this, so let's go nuts. Just hopefully you can hear it open. Get the idea, so let's run them through. You could see, I don't know if you saw, it's initially clogged. It's clogged then. So I'm just doing the last one. What I've found best is use the O-ring that comes with it because it's tighter around the shaft here, and then use the smallest one that comes in the kit. And again, I've had to grind a bit that fin off, and then just a little bit of fresh engine oil on the O-ring helps it seat, sends it home, and then you just hold it on like that, and away we go. So that is all of them cleaned. I'm happy enough. What I did find was this controller. I did just chop this wire off and test something separately because I don't need to do 2 injectors at once, so ignore that. But this controller, it's sort of on settings, once you get past 4, so 5, 6, 7, 8, it doesn't really, I don't know if it's these injectors or if it's the controller, but they don't really respond very well to those settings. So yeah, it was better on 1 to 4 and 4's continuous mode, which worked quite well. And also it works much better with obviously the higher pressure in the can that you can get. So I got 3 cans, so I just swapped it every 2 injectors. So that's it, happy with that. I just need to wait for the new seal kit to be delivered in the post so I can fit those, and wait for the weather to improve and I can start pulling some more bits off. And I think I'm going to do the oil cooler next, just as a final peek at what was removed. Nice. See the carbon deposits down there, and unless at the top it's like 1/2 centimetre of like oil sitting on top. On to the next job. So I've just taken the pan off at the bottom there. These 4 bolts, and then there's this little plastic cover to get to the hose at the bottom of the radiator, and then you just pull this little metal clip and off it pops. It was a little bit tight, but that's draining now. Once that's drained, I can take the radiator out and take the aircon radiator out. So I just need to start unclipping all these hoses. Spillage. I'm not sure if I've already mentioned I don't need to do all this, but it will help because I can get the proper tool into taking the pulley off, but I've done it so that I can get better camera access for you guys to see what's going on when I take the timing case covers off. Fighting this radiator for a bit now, and it's just these two bloody bolts. Oh. Finally. Probably hard to see on camera, but I've just noticed this pipe here, which is with a high pressure pipe from the power steering pump to the rack. Lots of gunky, oily stuff on this bit of the hose here. There's nothing, the hose is coming from the reservoir dry, and then it's wet, 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 wet. Then actually it loops up a little bit, and it's fairly dry at the top of the loop, so must be coming from here. And also the reservoir is below the minimum height, so I've just ordered 2 new O-rings, so I may as well do that whilst I'm here. The pipes are a bit more corroded than I'd probably like, but they're like 200 quid for one and 150 quid for the other, so I think I'll just wait until they fail, if at all. I may just clean them up and put some rust treatment on the steel parts. But anyway, I'm going to start pulling bits off, and anything that I want to paint, putting in the ultrasonic bath, get all the pulleys off. And then I forgot I need to take the fuel pipe off here, and then this big crusty pulley on the front of the crankshaft, that's going to need putting in some rust remover and painting before it goes back on, so that's my next big job, I guess. Yes it is. All cracked, possibly original. No immediate play in that, it's actually in quite good condition. I do have a new one. Made in Canada. I don't recognise that logo, but it looks genuine. The Canada stuff. Seems to be all over the Land Rover branded stuff. Looks slightly different than the new one though, so I'm just going to check now that it's right. There's the replacement. Plastic, not metal. Jaguar Land Rover, made in Slovakia, not Canada. The centre to centre dimensions look the same. I think it's going to bolt in the right place. Again, got a replacement for this. This feels fine too. Tiny little bit noisy. That's genuine. It says Land Rover on it. Again, probably the original. It's INA who make the bearing. This is the replacement. No cap on it. I thought there was a cap on this original one, but maybe not. So I have to check on the diagram. I might need to buy a cap separately. This is also made by INA. Yeah, the bearing's different, the design. This bolts directly onto the back of the bearing there and has a little metal clip to retain the bolt. Plastic clip. This also has the plastic clip, but that doesn't fit in there because that's proud of the mating surface. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to take this a little bit off or if that's just for transit. They've got that clip. So just for anyone else's reference, the original part has got a slight bit of play in it. The new part has this recessed bolt which sits in not that side, this side. It's not symmetrical. It sits in this little recessed area in the bearing housing there, and that puts pressure on this outer cup, and this outer cup does stay on. I took it off and it's all greased up behind, so it is part and supposed to stay on it. I can't see any value in this part other than it holding the bolt on in transit. It just doesn't do anything. As I said before, it's too proud. The bolting surface is there on that inner lip. And again, just for reference for anybody else, when you bolt it back up, it does have a slight bit of play, just like the one that came off. So if you're wondering if yours is gone because of the play, not necessarily, because new ones have the same amount of play in. Genuine. There is a tiny bit of play in it, very, very slight. Bearing feels okay, to be fair. So this part here is like 150 quid minimum, which I think is extortionate. It's because you're paying for this bracket. This bearing here, which is nicely gunked up, you can't change. It's like it's pressed in. So you have to buy the whole unit, and it comes with this bearing. So this bearing you can change separately. Again, doesn't really feel like there's anything wrong with that. So I can buy that for £40, or I can buy the whole lot for 150. So I don't know, I'll decide. There is evidence of some leaking here. I think it must be this, it's more likely this hose than anything. There's a little plastic hose here. Shouldn't be able to pull out. I don't know if it's located. There we go. There's a seal in there, which is left in there. And that goes into the oil cooler, I think. And then there's another seal, which is left inside here. That one's probably leaking. So, and these are prone to cracking, I believe. So I've got a aluminium part from China. Hopefully it lasts. A new pump. Not a Land Rover one, to be fair. A male one. Mailer? I don't know how you say it. Male. So next I need to move the alternator out of the way so I can get to that pipe that runs up into here, so I can move this out of the way so that when I'm ready I can get this off. And you can actually see, hopefully, that's the point of the drip where it's just constantly got aluminium corrosion there, so that's why it was leaking. genuine benzo, like the original. Bearing feels fine, no play in that at all. Hopefully you can see. Now I need to take this plate off so I can get to that bolt just to loosen it off the fuel pipe. And you can see what I mean by that bolt. You try and take it out, just hits the pipe here, you can't get it out. Great design. So there's the pipes. Let's crack those two nuts off. This little bracket I think is in the way. I'm going to take this off too. There's just enough slack to tease that over without bending anything. One thing I did forget to do is drain the engine oil. So it's not ideal because the engine oil's not warm, but I'm just going to siphon it out. I use, everybody does this differently, but I use one of these little pumps. Hooked up to battery, and I measure what comes out, dunk it in this when it's full, take it to the recycling centre, measure what comes out, and then put exactly the same back in. Simples. I'll do a proper drain on this from the sump. I've got enough oil to do a few oil changes, so I'm going to do that. It's a bit of a flush for the first few times, so get this going. This is black, this is the diesel at the Ranger, so ignore that. So I've removed the engine under tray, got it jacked up, because I need to get to the starter motor. I need to take the starter motor out, which I've already done, so that you can get to the flex plate to lock it in place so that the crankshaft doesn't turn whilst you undo the crank pulley bolt. So you need to take this little cover off, rear trays off, front tray, and then you lock it in place with this little tool. And the teeth there just locks into the flex plate, and you just bolt it in where the starter motor was. So I'll show you. Here we are, hopefully you can see at least something. There's the starter motor. You don't actually need to remove it from the wiring, you just loosen it off. And then in there we need to bolt this little plate. Before I do this, I just nearly forgot, because I'm not doing things in the proper order because I'm still waiting for parts to come. And I might have to redo this because I might get it 180 degrees out, but you need to put this, take this position sensor out and put the lockout pin in there, and then I should be able to put the flywheel pin in any position, but this one obviously is specific that keeps it all timed up. I believe that you can get the cams 180 degrees out, so I may have to rotate the engine clockwise once I've got the cam covers off and I can see the position at the back of the camshafts. Take this out, put it back in the right place, but for the minute, flip a coin. Am I going to get it in the right position? Knowing my luck, I won't, but I'm going to put it in anyway. And I believe that some people have had issues with this tool fitting for various cars, and also this tool fitting from the Chinese kits that come. So fingers crossed I get at least one to fit, because I believe you can do it just by putting this pin in. So let's take this out, which I think is a T30, and then try and slot the tool in. And I'll just have to get an extension bar on the crankshaft bolt and just rotate it clockwise until it fits. So I've just got a ratchet on the crank pulley bolt there, and I'm going to turn it clockwise until that aligns, and I can slide in this little tool here. So that's in there. It only goes in one position. It's got loads of other holes, but this one's offset and that fits in. So now I can put in the flywheel lock off tool. So hopefully you can see that's now bolted in place. The kit, for reference, if anyone is doing this themselves, doesn't come with any nuts. You can use the original bolts for the starter motor, but the threads are in the starter motor themselves, so you have to buy some M10 nuts if you haven't got any laying around. So I should now be able to take this crank pulley off. I've decided I'm not that happy with how much it siphoned out oil wise, and because it's its first oil change it did look a bit murky.
I'm just going to drain the last bit out of the sump. It'll be interesting to see how much it doesn't suck out and how much it is left in the sump. So I'm just going to crack the nut off, drain it, measure it. To be fair, in this ride height, I think maybe 50 to 100 mils came out of that, tops. Maybe I'm being too much actually, maybe about, I'd say 50 mils tops. So it does quite a good job of siphoning it out. So there you have it, good news. New sump bolt going back in, may as well do it now, saves me a headache later. Just taking a wire wheel on the drill to the bolt, hopefully you can see. Bottom there, yeah, 12.9. So that means that it's the reverse thread variant on this engine. So clockwise to loosen, anti-clockwise to tighten. So I need to fit this on here, and because it's an opposite thread, I'm going to be tightening it. So I need that lever on something that side. I need to take out 2 of the bolts on the pulley, and then thread these in and tighten them up to, is it 60 or 65 millimeters, something like that. And then we can get this big socket in there and get some serious torque on it to loosen it off. And as you can see, these have got Loctite on. You put Loctite 270 or equivalent on when it goes back in, which is the permanent stuff that needs heat to get it off. So that's those 2. That's in there. What I've done is I've got a piece of wood, and I'm going to use a bottle jack against the subframe, whatever it is, the mount. It's actually the chassis, I think, isn't it? More than smooth. Just a better angle, so you can see what's going on. I'm going to need to give this a bit of a tap with a hammer, because I tried this socket before and it doesn't go on very far. Obviously I don't want to round it off, so give it a tap. Yeah. It's got to be here. Right, I'm going to get the pole on this, I think. She's turning. I thought I'd broken my ratchet. This is that moment where you're like, shit, am I tightening it? Is it gonna snap? But it is a stretch bolt, so you'd expect to feel resistance like this, especially this tight. Trusty Halford's wrench. Shouldn't have done that really, but I just didn't have anything else. So the next bit, I've already tested the fit on this and it's fine. This threads in to the end of the crankshaft, and then with the larger washer on the outside of this, you thread this onto the thinner of the thread, and then like this, make sure you send the thread all the way home. This slides on. Then you put the 4 bolts in. They don't need to be tightened down, they just need to be equal distance to put equal pressure on this plate. and then you essentially hold this down and wind it out. She is. I assume you can split this, that's what the belts are for, but I don't know what the implications are, so I'm going to leave it as one. Remove all the rust and then paint it. And there is the end of our crank and the crank seal, which we'll be replacing. So we're at 77, nearly there. It takes ages, I've got to be honest. I'm going to have to get some sort of immersion heater or an old kettle element and whack it in, because it's been on for hours and it takes ages to get to this point. So I've got the bolts, the harmonic balancer there. I know somebody's probably gonna say, you can't put that in an old sonic bath, it does some damage to it. Can't really see what could go wrong. Said I'm not gonna take these bolts out, I'm gonna leave them in, so I don't want to disturb anything. And then these will go back in with Loctite, the other ones. So I'm just gonna fill this up as much as I can with any stuff that I've got that I need to clean. Just giving that a real good clean down with some brake cleaner on the outside, because obviously that's exposed now. I'm just going to pop some tape over it to keep shit from getting inside. This has had half an hour. Let's have a look how they're doing. Check that out for interest. Actually stripped some of the paint. Could be a good or bad thing. See, it's just peeling off on the inside. It's good if you're repainting anyway, but if you're not, you just want to clean some parts, then be careful, is all I'd say. And this is just degreaser. 10%, so you might want to knock the percentage down if you don't want to risk having to repaint anything like that. Feeling on.
That's it for today, guys. Thanks for sticking around until the end. Drop a comment below if you made it this far. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the previous video where I fixed the lock and key problems that I had on the car. Otherwise, make sure you tune in for the next episode where I show you how bad the timing chain situation really was. And I'll see you in the next video.